Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. I wanted to talk about CIG's growth, its employees, industry layoffs, and how CIG is being affected, if at all. This is mainly going to be a discussion around a Reddit thread. Do you think the mass layoffs happening in the tech industry will also affect CIG? The OP here says, every big tech company seems to be letting go of a large number of their employees after the post-pandemic low hit. Do you guys expect to see similar layoffs happening at CIG in the near future? So I thought this was a really good question, as there are huge layoffs and companies collapsing, getting bought out. The games industry, in general, isn't the healthiest it's been. However, CIG, Star Citizen, they've just had a record-breaking year of funding and are expanding their work team, their employees, their devs. They continue to grow. Is this just a bit of lag? Are layoffs around the corner? Spoiler, no. It looks like CIG are just getting into their full sprint. They have more employees than they've ever had before, and they're continuing to expand. CIG are growing, while other companies are downsizing, are collapsing, are sort of having these large-scale layoffs. We've seen hoaxes and confusions and articles about layoffs from CIG last year, and we're going to continue to see that sort of stuff. Bad sort of review on Glassdoor or someone making an article just saying CIG are having his mass layoffs. That's all it takes for a rumour to start when it is entirely untrue. Not saying all Glassdoor reviews are fakes or anything like that, because they're clearly not. There's certainly going to be staff that do get laid off or fired. There's certainly staff that didn't want to move office or aren't going to want to return to an office or don't like having to work from the office regularly compared to working from home, stuff like that. Now that CIG are very focused on getting their staff working from office, seeing they've got that huge one in the UK now. CIG definitely slowed hiring for a little while after they got their new UK office while they were sort of building it up, but the offices in the UK, they're mostly ready and being utilised now. They have room for I think it was between 1,200 and 1,500 just in that office. Currently, the CIG sort of staffing is around 1,300 plus worldwide, now with the recent acquisition of Turbulent. And CIG have switched from using contractors to having almost all of their stuff done in-house now, which is going to save them a lot of money and give them a lot more control potentially. I did see a response on that thread regarding the question, do you guys expect to see similar layoffs happening at CIG in the near future? With the poster here saying, only if 2024 has a dramatically lower funding than 2023, which still managed to exceed 2022's record-breaking year. Most big tech companies that are laying people off expanded too quickly during the pandemic on the short-sighted idea that the pandemic caused trends of everyone being at home with nothing to do but be on their computers would persist after lockdowns ended, and that interest rates would remain unnaturally low so they could borrow more or less free money. And that didn't happen, as could be predicted by more or less anyone. And then there are cases like Meta going all in on a multiverse product that no one asked for and sucks on top of having no market demand. CIG is still on an uphill climb, not falling from an ill-planned peak, and they aren't running on massive loans. They're funded by us giving them money. Say what you want about their method of selling ships and now skins and cosmetics, but it's a positive cash flow keeping them in the black because it's cash in hand, not loans that have to be repaid. So I thought there were some really good points there. Yeah, if they have a terrible year or two of funding, it could be a different story, right? CIG would have to balance costs and staffing for sure, but they seem to be not really relying on sort of loans. They are getting a huge amount of money in each year, and their costs, their costs are relatively high because they're putting it all into the game and expanding. That is true. Another response here is CIG is a private company, so it isn't beholden to churning out max profits for its shareholders every year. And CIG didn't go for irrationally rapid growth powered by debt borrowed on practically 0% interest rates that was never gonna stay that low for long. The era of borrowing free money is over, at least for a while, and it caught a lot of big corps with their pants down at the same time as their user activity has declined because, surprise, people aren't stuck in their homes on lockdown anymore and have more options with their time. So yeah, again, parroting the same point for a large point of that. But CIG aren't beholden to their shareholders. So CIG have almost all their funds from crowdfunding. They've borrowed extremely little, if any others, sort of money other than from the Cowder Brother investments. But CIG don't have to be making huge profits each year to pay out to shareholders. They just need to cover their costs. Shareholders won't demand that people are laid off so they can take bigger dividends or anything like that. I don't believe there are huge bonus schemes for Chris Roberts either. Chris wants his company and his game to succeed and grow rather than just to make record-breaking profits and money. It's a private company. It's not beholden to shareholders. All the money spent on the game goes where it needs to go. Say what you want about what CIG's monetization model is with selling ships, but it is very successful. It works for what they want it to do, and that money goes into the game's development and staffing. Advertising costs as well, they're very low. They've sort of expanded out their marketing team over the last few years now, doing like all this in-house marketing, and they get quite a lot of incentives and stuff from Intel and that sort of stuff, I believe, which we might actually see more of later this year. So Star Citizen is picking up steam and hype as it gets closer to Squadron 42's release, and the persistent universe sort of potentially becoming a lot more mainstream this year. It's expanding, it's growing, the player base is growing. People are seeing a lot of hype for the game now, rather than seeing it as, oh, it's that game that's never going to be released, or it's that scam game. People are sort of like seeing it undeniably as something that is going to be a tangible product, and that product looks like it's going to be pretty good. Another response I saw is a bigger potential talent pool is good for the project. For example, the Frankfurt office was initially staffed largely from ex-Crytek people who weren't being paid by Crytek at the time. Instant collection of CryEngine experts for CIG in that case. So this is another really good point, because CIG are effectively able to attract wandering devs and devs from studios that aren't necessarily doing as well as the market isn't doing well into CIG, into Star Citizen. Blizzard, Crytek, Overkill. I know that they've got a ton of ex-devs from those studios and many, many more. Layoffs in the market as a whole, oddly beneficial for CIG. It just means that they have access to a lot more talent. And you could argue that it enables them to retain talent a lot better because there are less opportunities for people to move around. I did see another response saying, it is likely that we will see layoffs at CIG in the future, but not because of economic situations. Young tech companies usually scale up their team during the tech built-up phase, and then scale it down again when most of the groundwork has been completed. Once the tech is finished and all the tools are in place so that the content team can work on pushing out content features, the tech dev team will shrink. Once most content is complete, the content team will shrink, and so on. It remains to be seen if shrinking teams equals layoffs when it comes to CIG though. Large corporations like Ubisoft move their tech resources to new projects and leave a small content and maintenance team on the old one. Companies without new products in the pipeline usually lay off some staff. This is just the natural way things go on tech companies. Nothing is as expensive as a developer with nothing to do. If CIG actually stops ship sales after release, they will have to shrink massively to a financially stable staff size that can maintain Star Citizen after launch. Yeah, I think that is largely true. There's still going to be dev turnover, but how much are we going to see them focus on the UK studio and trying to get people there? Are they going to depreciate or close any of their other studios? Could we see a staff reduction after Squadron 42 is released? I don't think so. They still have episode 2 and 3, but the persistent universe also needs a ton of work. Okay, so what about when they've got Squadron 42 episode 1 and 2 out? What about when they've got the persistent universe sort of version 1 released? Yeah, potentially we could expect a ton more work and updates to still come for Star Citizen for many, many years to come. There's certainly the possibility of concentration and reduction of staff, but that's much more like after Star Citizen and Squadron 42 is done. So do you need 1,300, 1,500 people working on that project still after a release? Maybe. It's quite possible that CIG will make other games in the future, or maybe will really expand and improve Star Citizen continuously. We can't really tell with much certainty what's going to happen yet in that sort of long term. For all we know, there could be a load of other things that happen with Doomflu and wars and tech prices that change the landscape, but at least for the midterm, CIG is doing incredibly well, is continuing to expand, is actually getting to the position where they can start to release products. Squadron 42 actual release at some point soon. I just thought it was a really interesting conversation because, yeah, a lot of studios, even ones that looked relatively successful, they do lose staff. They lose a lot of staff. They get pushed onto other projects. Their teams get made a load smaller. And Star Citizen, obviously a very focused project. They are just producing Star Citizen and Squadron 42, and they are very related games. Just seem to be getting bigger and bigger. I am really interested to know what you think on this subject and topic, though. Are there concerns for you? Are you like, well, actually, I am worried about some of these economic factors or some potentials for the future? Or do you think, well, actually, Star Citizen seems to be making more money every year. It seems to be expanding in a healthy fashion because it is a private company, because it's helmed by Chris Roberts, because it's not reliant on loans. Do you see this as a 1 in a million unique project and it's very lucky that they're able to produce Star Citizen in the way that they are? Or are you really, really against this sort of constant expansion of the studios? And do you think that that's actually making it have a much longer development cycle because you'd actually prefer Star Citizen or Squadron 42 to release with a smaller set of features, but actually be in a much more sort of released version 1 state? Whatever your thoughts, questions, or comments, you can chuck them down below where the comment section is. The giant ape climbed the skyscraper, swatting at helicopters that harassed him. You look up at the massive 50-foot creature of muscle and hair. He's got you firmly in his grasp. Any more pressure and you'd snap like a twig. He brings you to his mouth, and then you realise you should have got yourself nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. It would have provided you security and anonymity, preventing the great ape from finding you, but also accessibility to some of your favourite shows. Check out the links below for a massive discount and to help support the channel. Do you like using your eye holes for extra immersion in Star Citizen and help aim and do some cool stuff? Well, you can with Tobii Eye Tracker 5, which is on sale at the moment. This gives you native high-precision head and eye tracking in Star Citizen. Very cool for general immersion, for combat both in ship or on foot. They are absolutely fantastic pieces of kit, and both Zin and I have one. Use the links below to grab one for 15% off or to find out more. Talking about supporting the channel, you can help by pressing that join button under my videos or even becoming a Patreon with the links below again. That goes a long way to helping us make daily Star Citizen content. A massive thank you to everyone that does that already or supports the channel in other ways like commenting, liking and sharing videos. We are just about to hit 200,000 subscribers, which is awesome, seeing we are a niche Star Citizen dedicated channel. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For January 2024, we are giving away a Drake Corsair. This is a very popular multi-role, multi-crew explorer ship that is very good at a huge range of stuff in the verse. It also comes with lifetime insurance and a game package, all you need to play Star Citizen, and all you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during this month. More details in the video description. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out my channel and other videos on there as well, and I'll see you in the verse.